And also, anime and manga is also something that interests me greatly. Again, a lot of this is probably due to the fact that I watched a fair few as a child. You know, the regular ones like Pokemon. Oh, Pokemon. Still love it to bits now. Probably more so the games than the actual anime series. But still, it was cool. Anyway, then you had your Dragon Ball Z, which was huge. I think everyone must have watched that at some point. Goku was probably the most popular character since she is the main character. But seeing as I have sort of an aversion to main characters, he was anything but for me. Oh, no, 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 no. My favourite back then was Trunks, or to be more precise, Future Trunks. I wonder if that's a spoiler. But show's been out for quite some time, so if you haven't seen it by now, well, that's your fault, not mine. I'll try not to spoil anything else, but yeah, Future Trunks. Anyway, yeah, he had a badass sword when he entered the whole scene, and pretty much took down Frieza in one go. I mean, if you've ever watched Dragon Ball Z, which I assume you have, because like I said, everyone's watched it at one point. It took about 90 episodes just for Goku and Vegeta to deal with Frieza, so anyone that can take him down in one go is awesome in my book. So that's why Trunks was pretty much my favourite character back then. Anyway, speaking of Vegeta, I'd probably say he's my favourite right now, but I'll go into that more later on. But moving on, what else is there? Oh, Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Oh my gosh. Yu-Gi-Oh! The show with the most complicated rules ever invented. At times, honestly, I must have wondered if... Are you just making this up as you go along? But you know what? I didn't really care because it was still an awesome show. It had awesome characters. And they were a decent bunch. Maybe Awesome's putting it a bit too highly, but no, they were awesome. But also, if you've ever seen the main show, I seriously recommend that you watch Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged. That is hilarious. Hilarious. Anyway, yeah. So, anyone who's ever seen the abridged series, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about when I say Brooklyn Rage. Yeah, bad impressions aside, seriously, if you've ever been a fan of the main show, you should actually give that a watch. There was a bunch of other anime at the time, such as Tenchi Muyo, Gundam Wing. What else? What else? There was also another one. I forget what it was. But I'm sure there was another one. I'll remember at some point. You know the usual shows on Toonami. Those were your like regular shows. I don't think I particularly watched those two that much, but they were still cool when they were on. I still watched the others like Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon, etc., etc. I never really considered it a thing. I never considered myself a anime fan back then. I just thought the shows were cool. It wasn't due to the particular genre it was. It was just it was cool. I wanted to watch more anime, and I read more manga last year, or would it be 2 years ago now? Yeah, 2 years ago. And there I was at my local library, and I noticed they had an anime section where I saw Dragon Ball Z, the manga, not the actual anime show. I saw the Dragon Ball Z, and I thought, okay, that's cool, that's cool. I'm not particularly interested in reading it because I know what happened in Dragon Ball Z. I know what happened in a lot of the sagas, but I noticed that it was the Majin Buu saga. That was the last saga of Dragon Ball Z, and I didn't really get any conclusion from that because I kind of stopped watching. No, I didn't stop watching. They just stopped airing it, or for some reason, or maybe I went to boarding school at that time. I don't know. Yes, I probably went to boarding school at the time. So I stopped watching Dragon Ball Z, so I didn't really know how the Majin Buu saga ended. So I was like, okay, I'm going to read this because it's going to give me a bit of closure. And wow, I decided to make use of my membership and decided to borrow and read each of the volumes. And after being satisfied with the whole conclusion and how it all finished, I will watch the actual anime at some point. I decided to see what else they had. And the next thing that caught my eye was Death Note. Of course, I knew nothing about it, but I borrowed the first 3 volumes, and oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. The psychological battles between L and Light were just nothing short of amazing. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Seriously, I get goosebumps just thinking about it now. Loved it to bits ever since I read it. And I actually went out and actually bought the entire collection. No! I'll show you my entire collection, but it's in that suitcase up there, so that's not happening anytime soon. Anywho, the premise was very simple. It was, if you're wondering what Death Note was about, basically, there is a handbook with the rule: if you write someone's name into that handbook, they will die of a heart attack. And a very idealistic boy called Light, he gets his hands on the notebook and it just goes from there. Because first he's like, oh, this handbook's fake, etc., etc. What kind of ridiculousness is this? Which I imagine what would happen to a lot of us if we picked up a handbook that claimed that could kill people if you wrote their name in it. But he picks it up, he tests it out, and then so he figures that it actually is real. So then he's like, okay, I'm going to change the world for the better. He's going to start killing off all the criminals, and it goes from there. That's seriously, if you get the chance to watch it, just the first part of it, or even read the first part of it, I really would recommend it to you, just so you know what it's about and just go from there. Woo. Okay. So yeah, from Death Note, I was also recommended another series to watch, which was Full Metal Alchemist, the Brotherhood anime, not the original one. And then I just pretty much got serious at that point, and I kept trying out new manga and anime wherever I could. Full Metal Alchemist is probably my favourite manga series, and the anime is pretty good as well. Greatly enjoyed it from start to the finish. And as part of my King Lawliet username, which is taken from Führer King Bradley, the other is taken from Death Note, obviously. Might not be obvious if you've never seen Death Note, but yeah. Anyway, it was last year where I went to my first expo on the advice of my good friend Mr. Dino. Some like to call him Lord Peg. Great buddy. The MCM Expo in the Excel Center in Custom House or whatever it is. Anyway, it's in the Excel Center, and good grief, the things I saw there, the colors, the displays. My eyes were just open to just a whole world of wackiness and passionate. Just amazing time there. It was yeah, it was an amazing experience. I looking forward to going again this May, which is in very soon. Yeah. That's about the first entry of my King Lowlight series. Yes, it's pronounced King Lowlight, even though it looks like King Lawliet. I spent a great amount of time trying to figure out how it's actually pronounced, and I'm reasonably comfortable. I would say about 97% confident that it's pronounced. So I'll update this from time to time, and you could probably figure out what this series will be about. Uh, Especially as I'm reading and starting out and finishing new series. Anyway, until next time, King Lowlight out.